Raw Mike Richards, Newstalk Sauga 960. Tuesday, which means it is Meet the Steelheads Day. And as I understand, as James Hardie is about to join us, he's going to tell us his deepest, darkest secrets from high school, including people he didn't like. So that's what I have right here from Crackers. So I'm really looking forward to that. How are we doing, James, this morning? How are we doing?
Good. How are you?
Here's interesting. A game in Orangeville. You know, sometimes I just, you take a look at it. Now, what was that like?
It was honestly amazing. They sold out. The place was packed, and a lot of screaming kids, people that wanted to just watch hockey out in town that doesn't really get that level of hockey very often. And we did an autograph signing after, so it was a bunch of people that stood around, and it was a great time.
And I think you're in Innisfil, right? I think you're in Innisfil, so I mean, this is really not that far from there. It must have had a little bit of a familiar small town feel to it.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was just like going back home, playing with all your friends and family. I had lots of family members that came out to the game, so it was a fun time for sure.
Well, it's nice when you can have these kind of moments before a season where I think you guys last year, and again, it was a weird season, right? It's not like a regular schedule. You didn't, in terms of practicing and when and where you went, there was nothing usual about it, except you guys got off to a great start and you felt like, the world was in your hands. And look, there were some big teams last year and certainly we talk about the Bulldogs and so on, but now you guys will not be a surprise for anybody. No one's going to be surprised by the level that you play at. So it's a little different than being the surprise team, because I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by the level, as I said, I think you guys bring to this season.
Yeah, we got a great group of just like human beings. We're all just great guys, and we all want to get better and enjoy. But like you said, not a lot of people are gonna be surprised, but that doesn't make us say we can take a day off. It's kind of, we still got to work hard and get it done on the ice.
And so when you have, because there was a lot of young guys last year, and they had got a lot of ice time, injuries, for some guys to get some, which in the long term is probably a good thing because they've kind of been there before in games that actually matter. So with this group of guys, when we start talking about some of the younger guys, because you're now technically one of the older guys, do you feel like a little bit of responsibility on your shoulders?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we got a lot of young guys coming in this year that are going to play some big minutes, and that's not easy as a 16-year-old coming to the OHL. So, for me and like the older guys, it's kind of step up, take responsibility, help them out down the road so they can be good when we go for a long playoff run.
Talking about the last year's team too, how does this team sort of compare? Like, is there been any big differences you think this year's roster has that you didn't have last year? I know you haven't been together for too long, but just anything that you've seen early on in training camp and going forward to the start of the year?
No, then our group kind of didn't really change that much. We lost our 3 overagers, which obviously sucks, and we lost a couple of our older guys as well. But this team this year, we're a really tight group. We do a lot of things together, and we picked up some new guys from Niagara that kind of gelled in right away with us, and the younger kids hang out with us. We all get along, and and that's big. If you want to go for a big playoff run, you need to have a team that's close together.
Well, talking to Isaac Enright last week, I mean, that was the feeling that we got from him, like coming over from Niagara, that he's pretty excited to be in this environment. I was really surprised, James, how he sort of worded it, in that it wasn't just so much about him leaving Niagara as it was where he was going to and what is created, what he feels that Mississauga has. So that was more of a, not because there's a certain amount of guys that he obviously had to play against, but it was the whole, I guess, emphasis on winning and positivity and everything else. I was amazed how open he was about that.
Yeah, he's, Isaac, when he came in, I didn't really know too much about him, just about playing against him. And, when he came in, and he's just a great guy, great character guy, great hockey player, and we love to have him. And, in our room, we want to win. There's nothing short of that we just want to win. And, it's a good group we got here, and he's helped us out a lot.
You spent some time with Boston in the Boston rookie camp. What was that experience like?
It was super cool. I mean, I was out in Boston for a few days, and then we moved over to Buffalo. But even just walking around the Boston room and seeing like Brad Marchand and those guys just walking around, it's just a cool experience. And you kind of stop and you're kind of like starstruck for a little bit, and you're like, you're here for a reason. but it was definitely cool.
Yeah, it's tough when, and people think, well, when you get there that you want to be a pro, so you're gonna act a certain way. Well, if you saw at the end of the game how guys in the NFL react around Tom Brady, they want to touch him. Like guys in the other team want to come up and they want an autograph or they want to take their picture with him. At every level, you do become a little overwhelmed by sometimes, you're where you are in that moment. I think it's okay to enjoy it. But as you said, certainly for where you are this year, I mean, you belong, you want to belong, and you want to get in that dressing room. You want to be a guy that makes that team as part of that organization. But that still doesn't mean, as I said, as a kid from Stouffville, you meet Joe Montana, you're talking to Reggie Jackson, you're talking to, it doesn't matter who it is. It's still a big moment. It's just, you got to concentrate on wanting to belong. And listening to a lot of the guys who've gone from Mississauga, and Owen Tippett and guys like that. I mean, the thing that I love is that these guys come back. Like, you get to see them when they come back to camp. And I think that speaks a lot to how much they feel about this team.
Yeah, like I said, it's a good experience to get up there, and it's a different level of hockey. It's faster, it's stronger, and it's good to come back to the OHL, and you're with a group that you've been with for such a long time, and in a great group like this. Like, I know when I was over in Boston, I had guys checking in every day, seeing how I was doing, guys calling me, and it just shows the character we have in our room, where guys you're not going and you're not going to hear from anyone. Like, people are, you make friendships here where people are with you, and they want to talk to you and see how you're doing, and when you come back, it's just like you didn't miss a beat.
So when I look at last year, and as I said, when it got tougher down the stretch, which it's a tough league. Like this is the best league in the world for this age group. There's no, and the OHL produces more pro players than anybody else. So this is a hard league. But what did you learn, do you think, for you yourself coming down, playing that round against Hamilton? What is it you take away that you're bringing with you this year that maybe you haven't in other years? Like, what is that one thing that you're bringing this year that is a difference maker for you?
Yeah, I think just making sure every game you're doing the little things correctly. Especially in a big playoff run, like especially against Hamilton, it was a great team when we played them, and it's just little details that go on throughout a game that most people don't notice, but they can end up hurting you at the end of the game, and that stuff that needs to improve. And we've been working on little things in practice every day, make sure our details are crisp and we're right, and our passes are always on tape, and so we're ready to go for when it comes down to it.
So when you say that, I just want to jump in here because people hear hockey jargon, I would say. So for those listening, and there's a lot of coaches, young coaches, there's a lot of coaches here in Mississauga who listen to these conversations. When you start talking about the details, just give me one of those, an issue like you in practice. Like give me when you talk about little details, what are you talking about? Or at least give me one example of that.
One example I see is like a crisp first pass. When the defense goes back to grab the puck, and first pass is the biggest part. If it's right on the tape, then you're gonna get out of the end pretty quick. And then if it's not, then it's gonna be a little bit harder, but you can still do it. But that first pass is a big one for sure.
Talking about kind of just taking things from last year, you talked about the overage players like Pruder and Brand and Bazarin last year. Now you're in that situation. Is there anything that you took from them last year that you can implement for yourself this year and going forward?
Yeah, definitely. Just don't take a day for granted. I mean, it's your last year in the league, and you really gotta, if you gotta win, and you want to go out there and perform every time you're on the ice and compete every time. So, it's kind of just not take any day off, and make sure you're on top of everything, because this is your last year. There's no more after this, and that's all.
Well, I think also too, playing at the highest level of hockey that we have right here, and as you mentioned, sort of feeling like this is a chance for you. This is you're back against the wall. But I think guys who really perform don't mind that situation. I find that guys who get pushed and feel it is better than the guy who doesn't feel it. They go out there, they're just kind of not aware. But I think you're the opposite. I think maybe being pushed like this in the year that you have. I mean, I'm not going to be shocked if you have your best year ever. I would be the last person shocked.
Well, thank you. But I like pressure. I like when people are, when people say stuff about me, and I like it when people are on me for stuff. It motivates me more than not.
Yeah, I liked being booed.
No,
I
it's happened. It happens.
Like of all the places you go to now, for some reason, I don't know why, but every time there's a game in Peterborough, something weird happens. Like it always seems
Yeah.
to be a circus game. I don't know why. Do you find that of all the teams you play, what is it with Peterborough that gets things going sideways?
I don't know. It's just it's always like ever since I first came to the league, there's always been something that happens in Peterborough, and I honestly like it's just no one on our team likes their rink. It's just like the boards are like so squared and like, and it's just it gets in your head, and I don't know.
You know what's funny is they'll talk about the locals will say, "Oh, after the renovation. What in the men's room? What renovations are you talking about? You know, it still looks like it's built, built in 1910. I don't know when it was built. It's been there a long time, but it's again, we're looking forward to it. I hope people understand, just the level of hockey that's playing here in Mississauga, because when you see, these big crowds in these places, I mean, after going through that COVID year and everything else, I mean, I want to see people come out and see James Hardie play. I want this team to be recognized in its own city for how great it is, and honestly, how much fun you have on the ice.
Exactly. I mean, we're an exciting team to watch. We play hard. We do everything that we need to do, and I think having fans in the building just motivates us more. I remember last year on Family Day, I think we had like a sold out crowd, and it's just like it just motivates us more to play better and be the best we can.
I have to ask, because we ask all the players, how's the ping pong going? I know it's a big, I know it's a big thing in the dressing room.
It's going pretty good. We got a few good players. We got some players that aren't so good. But
can we talk about who's not so? Go ahead, name a name. I want to know who's
well,
not good.
I played in a doubles game yesterday with Ryan Struthers, and let me tell you, that guy's not a good ping pong player. Anytime the ball would come to him, it's automatically hitting the net and loss of point. It's just, it wasn't good.
He's the cooler. He is the cool.
Yeah.
Now I put out a tweet the other day, and it was about the President's Cup, the golf, right? So the American team, to warm up, they were playing ping pong. These guys were playing ping pong. And I said, so I tagged and said, "Look, Mississauga Steelheads." You know who responded to the tweet? Luca.
Who's that?
Luca.
Of course he did. He's a good ping pong player. I'll give it to him. Yeah. There's not much I want to give him, but he's good at ping pong.
James, thanks so much for this morning. Always a pleasure. I'm certainly a big fan of what you do, and I as I said, I think this is going to be a gangbuster year for you. I think the team itself is primed and know what it's like, and they got that feeling of winning. You just want more of it and that consistency, but you got the head coach that's going to do it. And I said, you certainly have the closeness. I guess probably the only drawback is crackers, but aside from that, everything out is awesome. So thanks for joining us here this morning. I'm sure we'll talk to you real soon.
All right. Thank you.
That is James Hardie joining us here this morning on Meet the Steelheads. And as you see, these are great kids, folks. They play in your backyard. They play in a great facility. And I really hope you get out to see them, because if you have a son or a daughter that wants and aspires to be playing at a higher level of hockey, you're not going to get a better example than this. Elliot Kerr and ownership has built something that's pretty special in your backyard. I know there's a lot of things that go on, including, your sons and daughters, playing hockey all over the province, because that's the way it is this year, as all the mandates are pretty much gone now. But if you get a chance and you want to see some excellent hockey by some great kids, you just heard one of them. So come out, support them, go to the Paramount, and check out your Mississauga Steelheads.